Hi friends, ceasefire extension is supposed to mean stability in the region, but the US Israel Iran war's ceasefire extension doesn't seem like a ceasefire extension in its actual terms. Instead, it seems like a war fought in another level. Let us see. The US has agreed to a ceasefire extension on its war with Iran. This shows that the waning appetite for war among major actors and their allies in West Asia, but still the US is continuing its blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Because the US is doing this, the Iranians have also closed the strait to transit. All this indicates that the political and economic situation appears far worse than it did 2 weeks ago when the ceasefire was announced. By extending the ceasefire on one hand and blocking the Strait of Hormuz on the other, President Trump is betting on a reported rift in the Iranian ruling establishment, that is between the political authority versus the IRGC. IRGC is a very powerful entity in Iran and opposes the US and its demand in much more fiercer terms than the political establishment. They are not at all interested in a ceasefire with the US. Meanwhile, the US blockade of Strait is affecting Iran's export earnings as well as vital imports of food, grain and medicine, which will impose additional suffering on its people. But its people are accustomed to such shortages, sanctions and economic hardships. Therefore, blockade of the strait is unlikely to cause Iranians to give up, questioning the logic behind Trump's blockade move. Meanwhile, the ones who are actually suffering due to this blockade are the rest of the world on account of fuel shortages. Oil prices, which had stabilized somewhat when the ceasefire was announced, surged again when the US Navy seized an Iranian flagged cargo ship. India and Southeast Asia are bearing the brunt of the blockade. Over 80% of crude oil and other fossil fuels from the Gulf nations via the strait are bound for Asia. In summary, even though the ceasefire has been extended, the situation on the ground does not feel any different from an actual war. Thank you.